Lieutenant Colonel Marcus Reed glanced dismissively at the young woman adjusting her medical kit in the corner of the briefing tent. Hospital Corpsman Second Class Sarah Chen? She's just the medic. Patch 'em up and ship 'em out. This is a precision strike mission requiring tactical air controllers with years of experience. The words had barely left his mouth when the emergency klaxon wailed across Forward Operating Base Wolverine, and Chen was already sprinting toward the helicopter pad, her voice cutting through the chaos over the radio. Broken Arrow, Viper. 6 is compromised. I'm calling in danger close CAS on my position. At 27, Hospital Corpsman Second Class Sarah Chen possessed the kind of unremarkable appearance that made superior officers forget she was in the room. Standing 5'4" with shoulder-length black hair, typically pulled into a regulation bun, she moved with the economical precision of someone who understood that every motion in a combat zone could mean the difference between life and death. Her dark brown eyes held a mathematical intensity that most attributed to medical training rather than the truth. She saw trajectories, calculated angles, and processed ballistic solutions with the same instinctive accuracy that others used to breathe. Chen's medical bag contained the standard complement of trauma supplies: hemostatic gauze, tourniquets, morphine auto-injectors, and chest seals. What it didn't advertise was the ruggedized tablet computer, loaded with advanced ballistic calculation software, laser rangefinder disguised as a medical diagnostic tool, and encrypted communication array that connected directly to Theater Air Command. Her official military occupational specialty read 8,404 Field Medical Service Technician. Her actual capabilities remained buried in classified personnel files, accessible only to personnel with top-secret, sensitive compartmented information clearance. The daughter of a Marine gunnery sergeant and an Air Force tactical air control party specialist, Chen had grown up on military installations where the sound of artillery fire served as background noise to family dinners. While other children played video games, she calculated firing solutions for her mother's training exercises and memorized aircraft recognition silhouettes with her father's reconnaissance teams. By age 16, she could plot coordinates to within 1 meter accuracy using nothing but a compass and topographical landmarks. Her assignment to Viper Team as their corpsman had been routine-aimed with a 12-man Special Operations Unit conducting reconnaissance along the Afghanistan-Pakistan border. The mission parameters called for observation and intelligence gathering, not direct action. Medical support was considered a precautionary measure for a team expected to avoid contact with enemy forces. Lieutenant Colonel Reed commanded the Tactical Operations Center with the confidence of someone who had never doubted his own assessments. A 22-year veteran with 3 combat deployments, he viewed the world through the lens of conventional military doctrine and established hierarchies. Female medical personnel belonged in aid stations and field hospitals, not forward operating positions where split-second tactical decisions determined mission success or catastrophic failure. Chen's medical training is exemplary, Reed had explained to Major Thompson during the pre-mission briefing. But this operation requires personnel with combat experience and tactical air control qualifications. If Viper Team encounters resistance, they'll need someone who understands close air support protocols, not someone whose primary concern is treating casualties. The irony wasn't lost on Staff Sergeant Rodriguez, Viper Team's actual Joint Terminal Attack Controller, who had worked with Chen during training exercises. He'd witnessed her uncanny ability to predict wind patterns and atmospheric conditions that affected aircraft performance, but Reed's dismissive attitude had effectively silenced any suggestions about utilizing Chen's broader skill set. "Ma'am," Rodriguez had said quietly after the briefing, "if something goes sideways out there, you know the team's got your back, right?" Chen had simply nodded, adjusting her medical kit with methodical precision. "Physics, applied mathematics, and practice, Staff Sergeant." Same principles apply whether you're calculating drug dosages or calling in fire missions. Viper Team's insertion had proceeded flawlessly. The MH-60 Black Hawk had delivered them to Landing Zone Bravo at 347 hours, and within 30 minutes, they had established an observation post overlooking the Korengal Valley. Their mission: conduct surveillance on suspected Taliban supply routes and report enemy movement patterns to higher headquarters. For 6 hours, the valley remained quiet, except for the occasional goat herder navigating mountain trails that had existed since before Alexander the Great's armies crossed these same peaks. Chen maintained her position at the team's medical station, monitoring radio communications while keeping her trauma supplies readily accessible. The first indication of trouble came at 1,124 hours, when Sergeant First Class Morrison reported movement along Ridgeline Alpha. Viper 6, this is Overwatch 2. I count 12 individuals with weapons moving southeast along Route Cedar. No vehicles visible, but they're maintaining tactical spacing. Team leader Captain James Wilson acknowledged the report and transmitted updated intelligence to the Tactical Operations Center. According to standard operating procedures, Viper Team would continue observation while remaining undetected. Their rules of engagement prohibited direct action unless fired upon first. The tactical situation deteriorated rapidly when Morrison identified additional enemy personnel emerging from concealed positions throughout the valley. Viper 6, Overwatch Twoim, seeing multiple groups converging on our location. Estimate 47 personnel total, armed with assault rifles and RPGs. They're moving in coordinated fashion, sir. Captain Wilson's voice remained steady despite the implications. Copy. Overwatch 2. All stations, prepare for possible compromise. Chen, be ready to treat casualties if this goes kinetic. From her position, Chen could observe the entire valley through her medical diagnostic scope, actually a high-powered spotting scope with integrated laser rangefinder and ballistic computer. The enemy forces weren't randomly positioned. They were executing a textbook envelopment maneuver designed to trap Viper Team against the ridgeline with no escape routes available. Sir, she transmitted to Wilson, recommend immediate extraction. Enemy forces are establishing interlocking fields of fire that will prevent movement in any direction within 17 minutes. Negative, Chen. Extraction bird is 2 hours out, and we can't risk compromising the aircraft. We'll hold position and avoid contact. The mathematics of their tactical situation painted a grim picture. 47 enemy combatants armed with RPGs and automatic weapons were systematically eliminating every potential escape route while maintaining sufficient dispersion to prevent effective counterfire from Viper Team's small arms. The enemy commander understood terrain advantages and was exploiting them with professional competence. At 1,147 hours, the situation became desperate when Staff Sergeant Rodriguez reported equipment failure. Viper 6, this is Sidewinder. My JTAC radio is down. Repeat. No communication with air assets. We're cut off from close air support. Chen felt the familiar calm that settled over her when mathematics and physics converged into tactical clarity. Sir, request permission to attempt communication with Theater Air Command using alternate frequencies. Captain Wilson's response reflected 20 years of military training and institutional thinking. Negative, Chen. You're a medic, not a tactical air controller. We'll work with what we've got. The enemy forces continued their methodical advance, and Chen calculated that Viper Team had approximately 43 minutes before becoming completely surrounded with no possibility of extraction or resupply. Standard military doctrine called for immediate withdrawal when facing overwhelming odds, but geography and timing had eliminated that option. Captain, she transmitted quietly. With respect, sir, I understand the tactical requirements. Request permission to coordinate close air support using medical emergency channels. Chen. That's not your job. Stay in your lane and prepare for casualties. The radio crackled with reports from team members as enemy forces closed the noose. 47 trained fighters with superior positioning and overwhelming firepower against 12 American soldiers with limited ammunition and no escape routes. The mathematical probability of survival approached statistical insignificance. Chen adjusted her scope and began calculating wind speed, atmospheric pressure, and temperature gradients that would affect aircraft performance and weapons accuracy. She had memorized the frequencies and call signs for every air asset within 200 nautical miles, along with their ordnance loads, fuel states, and response times. At 1,203 hours, the first enemy rounds impacted Viper Team's position, and Chen's world transformed from medical support to tactical necessity. The sound of AK-47 fire echoed across the valley as 47 Taliban fighters initiated their coordinated assault. "Contact! Contact!" Morrison shouted over the radio. "Taking effective fire from multiple positions. We're surrounded." Captain Wilson's voice cut through the chaos. "All stations, return fire and maintain defensive positions. Chen, start treating casualties." But Chen was already moving, her medical bag secured across her shoulders as she low-crawled to an elevated position that provided clear observation of the entire battle space. Her ruggedized tablet computer displayed a real-time tactical picture, updated with laser range measurements and GPS coordinates, accurate to within 1 meter. "Viper 6, this is Chen. I'm painting targets with laser designation. Request immediate close air support on coordinates I'm about to transmit." "Negative, Chen. You're not qualified for." Her transmission cut through Wilson's objection with mathematical precision. "Sir, I have visual contact on enemy positions at ranges from 847 to 1,243 meters. Wind speed is 7 knots from the southeast. Temperature is 87 degrees Fahrenheit. Barometric pressure, 29.9, 2 inches of mercury. I can provide terminal guidance for danger-close operations within 100 meters of friendly positions." The Tactical Operations Center erupted with activity as Lieutenant Colonel Reed realized that his "just a medic" was requesting authority to coordinate airstrikes with their own troops in the blast radius. "Negative. Chen is not authorized to control close air support missions. She's medical personnel." Chen ignored the radio chatter and switched to encrypted frequencies that connected directly with Theater Air Command. "Reaper 6-1, this is Viper Medical. Broken Arrow. Broken Arrow friendlies, surrounded by 4-7 enemy personnel, requesting immediate close air support. Danger close. Grid coordinates November Golf, 41,872,645, 41,872,650, 41,872,655. How copy?" The voice that responded belonged to Captain Patricia Hayes, pilot of an A-10 Warthog orbiting 30 nautical miles away. "Viper Medical, Reaper 6, 1 copies Broken Arrow. Understand you're requesting danger close CAS with friendlies in the area. What are your qualifications for terminal guidance?" Chen's response was delivered with the same calm professionalism she used when treating trauma patients. "Reaper 6, 1. I hold current certification in advanced ballistic calculations, atmospheric physics, and target designation. My father is Gunnery Sergeant Chen, 12nd Marine Division, and my mother is Master Sergeant Chen, 17th Air Support Operations Squadron. I've been calculating firing solutions since I was 12 years old." The radio remained silent for 3 seconds, an eternity in combat, before Hayes responded. "Copy, Viper Medical. Reaper 6-1 is inbound with 30 Mike and Maverick missiles. Provide continuous updates on friendly positions." Chen's tablet computer displayed a 3-dimensional tactical picture that incorporated GPS coordinates, laser range measurements, and ballistic trajectories for the approaching A-10. Her calculations had to account for the aircraft's approach angle, weapons release parameters, and blast effects, while ensuring that friendly forces remained outside the casualty radius. Reaper 6. 1. Friendlies marked with infrared strobes at coordinates November Golf 40, 1,870,000, 2,642. First target cluster is 847 meters southeast, 12 personnel with RPGs in elevated positions. Recommend 30 mm strafing run from north to south, elevation angle 15 degrees. Captain Hayes acknowledged the target information and began her attack run. Through her scope, Chen could observe the A-10's approach, while simultaneously tracking enemy movement patterns and friendly positions. The mathematical precision required to coordinate danger-close air support exceeded the complexity of most engineering calculations, but Chen processed the variables with instinctive accuracy. Guns, guns, guns. Hayes transmitted as her GA-8 Avenger cannon engaged the first target cluster. The distinctive sound of the 30mm Gatling gun echoed across the valley as 4 200 rounds per minute eliminated 12 enemy fighters in a 3-second burst. Chen immediately designated the second target. Reaper 6-1. Shift fire to coordinates November Golf 41,870,000, 2,650. 15 personnel in defilade position 100 meters east of friendlies. Recommend Maverick missile. Impact point 50 meters south of the tree line. Copy Viper Medical. Missile away. The AGM-65 Maverick struck its target with devastating precision, eliminating another cluster of enemy fighters, while leaving Viper team completely unharmed, despite being within the theoretical danger zone. Chen's calculations had accounted for terrain features that would channel the blast effects away from friendly positions while maximizing damage to enemy personnel. Within 12 minutes, Chen had coordinated 17 separate airstrikes that systematically eliminated all 47 enemy combatants without causing a single friendly casualty. Her target designation accuracy exceeded military standards by 400%, and her danger-close calculations demonstrated mathematical precision that impressed even veteran pilots. Viper 6. This is Reaper 6-1. Captain Hayes. Transmitted after the final target was neutralized. I've been flying CAS missions for 8 years, and I've never seen terminal guidance that precise. Outstanding work, Viper Medical. The aftermath of the engagement revealed the true scope of Chen's extraordinary achievement. 47 enemy combatants eliminated through precision airstrikes, coordinated by someone officially designated as medical personnel, with 0 friendly casualties, despite multiple danger-close attacks within 100 meters of American positions. Captain Wilson approached Chen's position with the expression of someone whose fundamental assumptions about military capabilities had been permanently altered. Corpsman Chen, I owe you an apology. And probably my life. Chen was methodically repacking her medical supplies with the same attention to detail she had demonstrated while calling in airstrikes. Just doing my job, sir. Physics and applied mathematics. That wasn't medical training, Chen. That was some of the finest tactical air control I've ever witnessed. She looked up from her equipment with those mathematically intense brown eyes that had calculated ballistic solutions while under enemy fire. Sir, my mother always said that accuracy is accuracy, whether you're calculating drug dosages or calling in fire missions. Same principles apply to both. Staff Sergeant Rodriguez, whose JTAC radio had failed at the critical moment, shook his head in amazement. Ma'am, I've been controlling airstrikes for 6 years, and I couldn't have done what you just did. That was unfucking believable. The radio crackled with an incoming transmission from the Tactical Operations Center. Lieutenant Colonel Reed's voice carried a tone of grudging respect, mixed with professional embarrassment. Viper 6, this is TOC. Outstanding work on the close air support coordination. Request identification of the JTAC who controlled those strikes. Captain Wilson glanced at Chen, who was now treating minor shrapnel wounds with the same precision she had demonstrated while eliminating enemy forces. TOC. Strikes were controlled by Hospital Corpsman Second Class Sarah Chen. The radio remained silent for several seconds before Reed responded. Copy, Viper 6. Please confirm that medical personnel coordinated danger, close air support missions. Confirmed. TOC. Chen. Saved our lives. When Viper Team returned to Forward Operating Base Wolverine 6 hours later, Chen walked directly to the medical tent to restock her supplies and complete casualty reports. She had eliminated 47 enemy combatants through precision airstrikes, but her official documentation focused on treating 2 soldiers for minor injuries sustained during the engagement. Lieutenant Colonel Reed found her there, reviewing medical protocols with the same methodical attention she had given to ballistic calculations. Chen, I owe you an explanation. Your personnel file contains classifications that I didn't have clearance to access. Your actual military occupational specialty isn't just medical. She looked up from her paperwork with characteristic calm. Sir, I'm qualified as a Joint Terminal Attack Controller, but my primary assignment is medical support. I prefer keeping medical training current. It's more personally satisfying to save lives than to take them. Why didn't you mention your JTAC qualifications during the mission briefing? With respect, sir, you indicated that this was a reconnaissance mission requiring medical support. I prepared for the mission as assigned. Reed studied the young woman who had demonstrated tactical air control capabilities that exceeded most career specialists. Chen, I made assumptions based on incomplete information. That won't happen again. Yes, sir. Is there anything else? The question carried no trace of judgment or satisfaction, simply professional courtesy from someone who understood that superior officers made decisions based on available information. Chen's humility, in the face of extraordinary achievement, reflected training that valued mission accomplishment over personal recognition. Major Thompson entered the medical tent carrying a classified folder marked with security designations that required special handling procedures. Chen, your actions today will be documented in classified after-action reports. Due to operational security requirements, you won't receive official recognition for what you accomplished. She nodded without surprise. Understood, sir. Will there be any changes to my assignment? Negative. You'll continue as Viper Team's medic, but now we understand the full scope of your capabilities. Chen returned to her medical supplies with the same attention to detail that had enabled her to coordinate 17 precision airstrikes while under enemy fire. Her expression revealed no frustration at the lack of recognition, no satisfaction at proving her capabilities to skeptical superiors. Just quiet professionalism from someone who understood that competence spoke louder than official commendations. Staff Sergeant Rodriguez approached her workspace carrying his repaired JTAC radio. Ma'am, I wanted to thank you for what you did out there. You saved the entire team. Staff Sergeant, that's what team members do for each other. Physics, applied mathematics, and practice. Still, Ma'am 47, confirmed kills at danger, close range with 0 friendly casualties. That's going to change how people think about tactical air control training. Chen looked up from her inventory checklist with those mathematically precise eyes that had calculated trajectories while rounds impacted around their position. Perhaps, but the most important outcome is that everyone came home safely. As evening settled over Forward Operating Base Wolverine, Chen completed her medical reports and prepared for the next day's operations. Somewhere, in classified files accessible only to personnel with the highest security clearances, analysts would study her tactical air control performance and incorporate lessons learned into training programs for future air controllers. But in the medical tent, Hospital Corpsman Second Class Sarah Chen simply restocked her trauma supplies and reviewed medical protocols ready to serve as just the medic for whatever challenges tomorrow might bring. She had proven that assumptions about capability, based on official job titles, could be dangerously misleading, but her response to that validation was characteristically understated. Another day, another mission, another opportunity to ensure that her teammates returned home safely. The 47 enemy combatants who had surrounded Viper Team that morning had learned too late that sometimes the most dangerous person in a military unit is the one everyone underestimates. Chen's precision had eliminated them with mathematical certainty, but her focus remained on the mission that truly mattered, keeping her team alive to fight another day. In military operations, competence reveals itself through results rather than recognition. Chen's extraordinary achievement would remain classified, but her teammates understood the truth. When 47 enemies surrounded their position with overwhelming firepower and superior numbers, salvation had come from the quiet professional with intense brown eyes who calculated solutions while others counted obstacles. She was just the medic until mathematics, physics, and exceptional training converged into the perfect airstrike that saved them all.